Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining me. As always, your presence is appreciated. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this book review. I will be reviewing the book Someone Like You by Kingsbury, and that's the cover of the book. Okay, let's go ahead and get into this book review. So, this story is about a young lady named London, and she is described as a free spirit, fun, loving, full of life, and she has graduated with a business degree and works at her parents' coffee shop with the hope of expanding. London doesn't have a faith foundation and normally avoids conversations of faith and God. However, she's friends with Dawson, and Dawson is a God-fearing man, and he's chivalrous, he's kind, he's loving, and he works at his father's development company. Dawson is a good guy, okay? And he has loved London since high school. I do believe that they met in senior year of high school, if I remember correctly. And Dawson has loved London. However, London doesn't love him in the way that he loves her. And she feels that they wouldn't be a good match due to his level of faith and her lack of faith. She believes that factor would hinder them from having a good relationship beyond friendship. But despite that fact, they are very close, and Dawson has held out hope that London would one day find God and look at him as more than just a friend. Okay? So, at the moment that London may have come around to wanting to know more about Dawson's faith, God, and religion, she expressed having, some questions that she wanted to ask Dawson. And it kind of seemed like faith and religion and God had maybe been on her mind and maybe kind of piqued her interest in wanting to actually have a conversation with him about it. However, before they could have that in-depth conversation, London was involved in a vehicular accident. And this accident caused her to have some extensive injuries, which ultimately resulted in her death. The book does go through what happened, so you'll get to find those details out when you read the book. Okay, so this accident definitely caused Dawson and London's parents to be grief-stricken. And when London's mother, Lois, was in the hospital waiting room, she let the cat out the bag. Both her parents had the secret because they were both involved in this. But this secret they had been holding in pretty much all of London's life. And the secret was that Lois and her husband Larry had embryos put on ice. And after London was born, about I think it was 4 or 5 years later, they decided to sign their rights away concerning these embryos. And so somewhere in the world, London may have siblings. So in Lois's delirious state in the hospital waiting room, she lets that information flow. Okay? And Dawson heard her. And so Dawson clung to this information, honey. And after London was laid to rest, he decided he wanted to find out if she had some siblings. I kind of felt like I couldn't figure out what his true motive was to a degree. I knew one aspect, but I kind of felt like he may have had more than one motive of finding out if London had siblings. But anyway, so he started on this journey to find out if there were, in fact, siblings from these embryos. And so on his short journey, he finds a woman named Maddie. And she's all the way across the waters. And so he pretty much crosses the waters to find her in person. And so when he sees her in person, her stature, her, physicalities were strikingly similar to London. And so Maddie is a God-fearing woman. She just graduated from college. She's working at the zoo, and she's engaged. Okay? So Dawson turns up at her job. Okay? And he almost kind of stalks her just a little bit. But he pretty much turns her life upside down in more ways than one. Dawson reveals to Maddie that she is adopted, which she thought was a lie until she confronted her parents and found out it was true, that she is adopted. She is not her parents' biological child. So needless to say, Maddie is distraught. She believes that her life has been a lie. Her parents have lied to her all her life, and that she isn't a part of the family that she's loved and known all her life. So she goes through that whole gamut of emotions of pretty much her life is not what she thought it was, because her parents have lied to her all of these years. And so this story takes you on a journey of how London passes and Maddie enters into the life of her biological parents, Lois and Larry. So Maddie has to come to grips with her new reality, and get acquainted with her biological parents and the sister she didn't know she had. Okay? Maddie's existence and coming into Lois and Larry's life actually saves Lois's life. And then Maddie's, adoptive parents have to reveal the secret to the rest of the family and pray that they are forgiven. So this is a little hot mess, to say the least. So in the story, there are visible differences in how the families raised their children. Okay, so one family is very close and religious based, and the other is not. The comparisons or similarities of London and Maddie, it pretty much made me think that they may have been twins, because all the embryos, and I'm just thinking, the physical similarities, the mannerism similarities, the likes and dislikes similarities, kind of gave me the feeling like they were supposed to have been twins. Even though they were born 5 years apart, at least, I think. If they had been born at the same time, I think that could have classified them as twins, as much similarities that they had. So, I will say that it is a touching story. I will let you read the book to find out the details of how this journey played out. I will let you find out how Maddie saved Lois's life. I'll let you find out if Maddie forgave her parents for keeping this secret from her, or if she still, doesn't forgive them. Either she will or she won't, but I'll let you read the book to find out. And I will let you read the book to find out how Maddie's life shaped up after this significant detour. I mean, to say the least, it's a detour, but you know what? I didn't know that this book was a part of a series. Okay, and this is not the first book in the series, but it stands on its own. I mean, if this is the first book that you pick up, you won't be lost. You know how some series, it's chronological, and if you jump in the middle of the order, you're lost because you don't know what happened before, or the connections and all of that. This book stands on its own. So I was very pleased with that, even though I didn't know it was a part of a series until well into the book, if not after the fact. I like that the story wasn't drawn out. I mean, it gave you a good flow to keep you interested, to keep you, turning the pages, but it wasn't like excessively drawn out, like you're like, oh my God, can we please come on here? So I was very happy that it was not drawn out. However, there could have been a little bit more detail, but I don't know if that really would have affected, the storyline or not. So overall, it was a good read. It will keep you turning the pages to find out how the story unfolds. Okay. I will tell you, you might want to have some tissue handy. I don't know. If you're sensitive, you might. I give it a 5 out of 5. So if you've read the book, comment your thoughts. If you haven't, go pick the book up and read it. Click like, click share. And until next time, keep turning the pages, my book lovers.